Hello, I'm really glad you're here tonight. This hour is different from the rest of the day. It doesn't ask you to decide anything. It doesn't ask you to perform or explain or keep up. It simply invites you to lie still and let your thoughts move at their own pace. As the years pass, nighttime becomes a kind of companion, a place where the mind is free to wander without interruption, where memories return, not urgently, but patiently, where understanding settles in quietly without needing words. Later in life, the mind doesn't race the way it once did. It reflects, it revisits, it connects dots that once seemed unrelated. And it does this most honestly when the lights are off and the world has gone silent. This space is for those thoughts, the ones that don't surface during the day, the ones that arrive only when you're alone with yourself, resting, remembering, and gently making sense of a long, lived-in life. So take a slow breath. Let your body soften into the bed and allow this night to meet you where you are. And now, before we begin, if this kind of honest, gentle reflection speaks to you, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. And down in the comments, tell me where you're listening from and what time it is where you are right now. There's something comforting about knowing we're all here together, scattered across time zones, but united in these late hours when the world finally grows still. So settle in, adjust your pillows, find a comfortable position, and know that for the next hour, you're not alone in whatever wisdom you're carrying, whatever understanding you've earned, whatever truths rise to the surface when the lights go out. Let's begin. You're lying here right now, and your head is resting on a pillow. This simple object, this soft rectangle of fabric and filling. But it's not simple at all, is it? Not anymore. Not after all these years. This pillow, or pillows like it, have been the silent witnesses to your entire philosophical education, the real one, not the one you got in school, or from books, or from other people's opinions, the one you gave yourself, lesson by lesson, night by night, truth by painful, beautiful truth. Your pillow knows things about you that no person knows. It knows what you think about when you're finally alone with yourself. It knows what questions keep you awake. It knows what conclusions you've reached about life and death and love and loss and meaning and purpose. It knows your real philosophy, not the one you present to the world, the one you live with in the darkness. You've developed this philosophy slowly, over decades, through experience, through mistakes, through joy and suffering and everything in between. Nobody handed it to you. Nobody could have. This kind of wisdom can't be taught. It can only be earned. And you've earned it. Every single insight, every hard-won understanding, every truth that took years to accept. You remember being young and thinking you understood everything. How certain you were. How clear the world seemed. Right and wrong were obvious. Good and bad were easy to identify. Life had rules, and if you followed them, everything would work out. You believed this completely. You lay on your pillow back then and planned your future with such confidence, such absolute faith that you knew how things worked. Your pillow witnessed that certainty, that youthful conviction. And it's witnessed every revision since then. Every time life taught you something that contradicted what you thought you knew. Every time you had to let go of a belief that no longer fit reality. Every time you discovered that the world was more complicated, more nuanced, more mysterious than you'd imagined. The first real lesson came early, didn't it? The first time someone you trusted betrayed you, or the first time you betrayed someone else, or the first time you realized your parents were fallible human beings, not the infallible authorities you'd believe them to be. You lay on your pillow that night, feeling the ground shift beneath you, feeling your simple worldview crack and splinter. This was the beginning of your real education. You learned that people are contradictions, that someone can love you and hurt you simultaneously, that good people do bad things, that bad people do good things, that nobody is purely anything. Everyone is a mixture. Everyone is trying. Everyone is failing. Everyone is both the hero and villain of their own story. This understanding didn't come all at once. It accumulated, night after night, experience after experience. Your pillow absorbed each revelation. You learned about love, not the fairy tale version, the real version. You learned that love doesn't solve everything, that it's not enough to simply love someone, that love requires work and compromise and sacrifice and forgiveness, that love changes, that the intense passion of early romance transforms into something deeper and steadier and less dramatic. Or sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it dies. Sometimes it becomes something you no longer recognize. You've loved people who didn't love you back. You've been loved by people you couldn't love in return. You've loved people and lost them to death or distance, or the simple fact that you grew in different directions. You've loved people who hurt you. You've hurt people you loved. All of this taught you something. All of this shaped your understanding of what love actually is versus what you thought it would be. Your pillow has absorbed tears over love. So many tears, the kind you cried when you were young and heartbroken, certain you'd never recover. The kind you cried when you were older and wiser, knowing you would recover but grieving anyway. The kind you cried over decades-long relationships that ended or changed irrevocably. The kind you still cry sometimes, even now, because love never stops mattering, never stops having the power to break you open. But you also learned something else about love, something more important than all the pain. You learned that love is the only thing that actually matters. That at the end of every day, when you lay your head on this pillow, love is what you think about. Love is what you measure your life by, not success or achievement or money or status. Love, who you loved, who loved you, how well you loved, how much you let yourself be loved. This is the metric that matters pillowside. You learned about loss. This was a harder lesson, maybe the hardest. You learned that everything ends, every single thing. Relationships end, jobs end, youth ends, health ends, lives end. Nothing is permanent, nothing is guaranteed. Nothing can be held onto forever, no matter how tightly you grip. Your pillow knows this lesson intimately because you learned it repeatedly in the sleepless hours after loss, when the world felt emptied of meaning. You lost people, parents, maybe, friends, partners, people who were supposed to be there forever but weren't. People who defined your world and then left holes in it when they disappeared. You lay on your pillow after these losses feeling like you'd never be whole again, like the absence was too large to ever fill, like you'd broken in ways that couldn't be repaired. But you also learn something about loss that nobody tells you when you're young. You learn that you survive it, that the unbearable becomes bearable, not quickly, not easily, but eventually. You learn that grief doesn't destroy you, it changes you. It makes you deeper, more compassionate, more aware of how precious everything is, more capable of holding other people's pain because you've held your own. You learn that loss teaches you what matters, that it strips away the trivial and leaves only the essential, that after you've lost something irreplaceable, you stop worrying about replaceable things. Your priorities shift. Your values clarify. You become more focused on what's actually important because you know viscerally that time is limited and attention is finite and energy should be spent on things that matter. Your pillow has been there for all of this. It's held your head through the worst nights of your life. The nights when you didn't think you could go on. The nights when grief felt like it would swallow you whole. The nights when you bargained with the universe, with God, with fate, with anything that might be listening, begging for things to be different. Your pillow witnessed your desperation, your rage, your sorrow, your eventual, reluctant acceptance. You learned about yourself. This took the longest. This is still ongoing. You've spent decades lying on this pillow trying to figure out who you actually are beneath all the roles you play, all the expectations you carry, all the stories you tell yourself about yourself. You've peeled back layers. You've discovered things you didn't want to know. You've accepted things you spent years denying. You learned that you're capable of more than you thought, both good and bad. You've been braver than you believed possible. You've been weaker than you wanted to admit. You've surprised yourself in both directions. You've done things you're proud of and things you're ashamed of, and both sets of actions were authentically you. This was hard to accept. This idea that you contain multitudes, that you're not one simple, consistent thing, but a complex, contradictory collection of impulses and desires and fears and hopes. You learned your patterns, the ways you sabotage yourself, the ways you protect yourself, the defense mechanisms you developed in childhood that no longer serve you, but still activate automatically. You learned what triggers you and why. You learned what you're actually afraid of, beneath the surface fears. You learned which of your beliefs are truly yours and which ones you absorbed from other people without questioning. Your pillow has been present for all this self-examination, for the nights when you couldn't sleep because you were finally seeing yourself clearly and the vision was uncomfortable, for the nights when you forgave yourself for something you'd been carrying for years, for the nights when you recognized a pattern and decided to break it, for the nights when you accepted something about yourself you'd been fighting against forever. You learned about time, how strange it is, how it moves differently as you age, how a year felt infinite when you were a child and now flies by in what feels like weeks, how the past becomes more vivid while the present becomes more fleeting, how memory is unreliable, how it shifts and changes, how you remember the same events differently over time, how what seemed important then seems trivial now, And what seemed trivial then seems important now. You learned that you can't go back. This was another hard lesson. That child you were is gone. That teenager, that young adult, all those versions of yourself have ceased to exist except in memory. And memory is not the same as presence. You can't return to any previous version of your life. You can only move forward. This felt like loss at first. Now it feels like liberation. You don't have to be who you were. You can become something new. Even now, even at this age, even with all these years behind you. You learned about regret. You have them. Everyone does. Things you wish you'd said or hadn't said. Things you wish you'd done or hadn't done. Chances you didn't take. Risks you took that didn't work out. People you hurt. People you let hurt you. Opportunities you missed. Relationships you didn't fight for or fought too hard for. Your pillow knows all your regrets because you've catalogued them here, in the darkness, when there's no one to impress and no reason to lie to yourself. But you also learn something about regret. You learn that it's useless, that you can't change the past, no matter how much you wish you could, that beating yourself up accomplishes nothing, that the only productive use of regret is to learn from it, to let it teach you how to make different choices going forward. You learn that forgiveness, including self-forgiveness, is not optional. It's necessary. It's the only way to keep living. You learned about mortality, your own. This awareness has been growing for years now. When you were young, death was abstract, something that happened to other people, something far in the future, something you didn't need to think about. But now it's real. Now it's close. Now you feel it in your body, in the aches and pains, in the way you heal more slowly, in the way your energy has limits, in the deaths of people your age, in the realization that you have more years behind you than ahead of you. This awareness has changed everything. It's made you more urgent about some things and less worried about others. It's clarified what matters. It's made you less willing to waste time on things that don't bring meaning or joy or connection. It's made you more present because you know presence is all you actually have. The past is gone. The future is uncertain. Right now, this moment, lying here on this pillow, this is what's real. You learned about meaning. This might be the most important lesson. You learned that meaning isn't given to you. It's not something you find. It's something you create. You make meaning through your choices, through your relationships, through your actions, through the way you respond to what happens to you. Life doesn't have inherent meaning. You give it meaning. This is both terrifying and freeing. You learn that the big questions don't have answers. Why are we here? What's the point? What happens after we die? These questions have occupied human minds for millennia, and there's still no consensus. You've developed your own answers, your own beliefs, but you've also become comfortable with uncertainty. You've learned that not knowing is okay. That mystery is part of being human. That some questions are meant to be lived with rather than solved. You learn about happiness, that it's not a constant state, that it's not something you achieve and then maintain forever, that it comes in moments, in flashes, in unexpected instances of grace, that it's often found in simple things, in a good meal, in laughter with someone you love, in a beautiful sunset, in the satisfaction of completing something difficult, in the comfort of this pillow under your head after a long day. You learned that happiness and meaning are not the same thing, that you can have a meaningful life that includes suffering, that you can have happy moments in the midst of difficulty, that the goal is not to be happy all the time, but to live fully, to engage completely, to show up for your life even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. You learned about other people, how to read them, how to set boundaries with them, how to let them in, how to ask for help, how to offer help, how to recognize who deserves your trust and who doesn't, how to walk away from toxic relationships, how to repair damaged ones, how to accept people as they are rather than as you wish they were, how to love people without trying to change them or fix them or save them. You learned that everyone is fighting a battle you know nothing about, that the person who's rude to you might be going through something terrible, that kindness costs nothing and might mean everything to someone who's struggling. That judgment is easy and empathy is hard, but empathy is what we all need, that we're all doing the best we can with what we have, that nobody wakes up trying to be the villain of anyone's story. You learned about gratitude. This took time. When you were younger, you focused on what you didn't have, what you wanted, what you were working toward. But somewhere along the way, your perspective shifted. You started noticing what you do have, the ordinary miracles, the fact that you're alive, that you can see and hear and feel, that you have a pillow to rest your head on, that you've loved and been loved, that you've experienced beauty and joy and connection. You learned that gratitude is a practice, that it doesn't come naturally when you're tired or hurting or worried, that you have to choose it, that you have to train your mind to notice the good alongside the bad, that this practice changes everything, that gratitude doesn't make problems disappear, but it does make them more bearable, that it shifts your entire relationship with your life. Your pillow has been present for all these lessons, for every philosophical insight you've earned through living, for every truth you've uncovered through experience, for every wisdom you've gained through suffering and joy and everything in between. This pillow, or pillows like it, have been your constant companion through your entire education in being human. And tonight, as you lie here, all of that wisdom is present. All of those lessons are available. All of that understanding is yours. You've spent a lifetime learning how to live, learning what matters and what doesn't, learning who you are and who you want to be, learning how to survive loss and celebrate joy and find meaning in the midst of chaos and uncertainty. This is what it means to be a lifelong soul, to carry this accumulated wisdom, to have this depth of understanding, to know things that can only be known through living a full life, through making mistakes and learning from them, through loving and losing and loving again, through falling and getting back up, through questioning and seeking and sometimes finding and often not finding, but continuing to seek anyway. You are lying here tonight with all of this inside you, all this philosophy, all this hard-won truth, all this understanding that you've earned through decades of being alive and paying attention and trying to make sense of it all. This is your inheritance from your own life. This is what you've given yourself. Nobody could have given it to you. You had to live it. You had to earn it. And you did. The philosophy you've developed here, pillowside, is more valuable than anything you learned in school, more practical than any advice you've ever received, more reliable than any ideology or belief system someone else handed you. Because this philosophy is based on your actual experience, your actual life, your actual encounters with reality. It's not theoretical. It's not abstract. It's lived wisdom. It's truth you've tested and found solid. You learned about control, or rather, you learned about the illusion of control. When you were young, you thought you could control so much. Your circumstances, other people, outcomes, the future. You made plans and expected them to unfold exactly as you designed. You believed that if you worked hard enough, wanted something badly enough, tried hard enough, you could make anything happen. You had faith in your own agency, your own power to shape reality. Life taught you otherwise. Life taught you that control is mostly an illusion, that you can't control other people, no matter how much you love them or how clearly you see what they should do, that you can't control circumstances, that random events happen, that luck, both good and bad, plays a larger role than anyone wants to admit, that chaos is more fundamental to existence than order, that the universe doesn't care about your plans. This was devastating at first. This loss of the illusion of control. You fought against it. You tried harder. You gripped tighter. You insisted that if you just found the right strategy, the right approach, the right amount of effort, you could make things go your way. But eventually, slowly, you learn to let go. You learn that the only thing you can actually control is yourself. Your reactions, your choices, your attitude, how you respond to what happens, not what happens itself. This understanding brought peace, real peace. Because once you stopped trying to control everything, once you accepted that most of life is beyond your influence, you could finally relax. You could stop exhausting yourself with the impossible task of managing reality. You could focus your energy on what's actually within your power, your own mind, your own heart, your own actions. This is where your true power lives, not in controlling external circumstances, but in choosing how you meet them. You learned about resilience. You learned that you're stronger than you thought, that you can survive things you were certain would destroy you, that you have resources within yourself you didn't know existed until you needed them. You've been through so much pain, so much loss, so much difficulty, and you're still here, still breathing, still lying on this pillow, still capable of feeling and thinking and caring. This resilience wasn't something you were born with. It's something you developed through necessity, through surviving things that had to be survived. Each difficulty you made it through proved to you that you could make it through. Each time you thought you'd reached your limit and then discovered you could go further, you expanded your understanding of your own capacity. You learned that you're more durable than you appear, that the human spirit is remarkably strong, that you can bend without breaking, that you can break and still heal. You carry scars. Of course you do. Everyone who's lived a full life carries scars. Physical scars from injuries and surgeries, emotional scars from betrayals and losses, psychological scars from traumas and disappointments. These scars are not weaknesses. They're evidence. Evidence that you've lived, that you've risked, that you've survived, that you've healed. Your scars tell the story of your resilience. They're proof of your strength. You learned about acceptance. This might be the hardest lesson of all. Harder than learning about loss. Harder than learning about mortality. Because acceptance requires giving up the fight. It requires acknowledging that some things can't be changed, can't be fixed, can't be made different, no matter how much you want them to be. It requires making peace with reality as it is rather than as you wish it were. You've had to accept so many things, the ways your life didn't turn out as you planned, the dreams that didn't come true, the relationships that didn't work, the opportunities you missed, the mistakes you can't undo, the people you couldn't save, the parts of yourself you can't change, the limitations of your body as it ages, the past you can't rewrite, the future you can't guarantee. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up. It doesn't mean you stop trying or stop caring or stop working toward what you want. It means you stop fighting against what is. It means you acknowledge reality clearly. It means you work with what's actually true rather than what you wish were true. This distinction is crucial. This is the difference between suffering and peace, between exhaustion and rest, between resistance and flow. Your pillow has absorbed all your struggles with acceptance. All the nights you lay here fighting against reality, all the times you replayed conversations, reimagined outcomes, insisted that things should be different. All the energy you spent resisting what couldn't be changed. But it's also absorbed the moments of surrender, the moments when you finally stopped fighting and let things be as they are. The relief that came with that surrender, the peace that follows acceptance. You learned about solitude, how to be alone with yourself, how to tolerate your own company, how to stop running from yourself through constant distraction and busyness. You learned that solitude is different from loneliness, that you can be alone without being lonely, that there's value in spending time with your own thoughts, your own feelings, your own presence, that you're worth knowing, that your inner world is rich and complex and interesting. This pillow has been your companion in solitude, in the hours when you're most alone with yourself, when there's no one to perform for, no one to please, no one whose expectations you need to meet. Just you, your thoughts, your feelings, your memories, your questions, your truth. This solitude has taught you things that connection never could. It's shown you who you are when no one's watching. It's given you access to parts of yourself that only emerge in silence. You learned that you don't need answers to every question. That uncertainty is not a problem to be solved, but a condition to be lived with. That mystery is okay. That not understanding everything is okay. That faith, in whatever form it takes for you, is not about certainty, but about trust. Trust that life has meaning, even when you can't see it. Trust that you're exactly where you need to be, even when you don't understand why. Trust that everything that's happened to you, good and bad, has shaped you into who you are, and who you are is enough. You learned about legacy, what you'll leave behind. Not just material things, but impact, influence, the ways you've touched other people's lives, the kindness you've shown, the love you've given, the example you've set, the difference you've made. You learned that legacy isn't about being remembered by everyone. It's about how you've affected the people in your immediate sphere, your family, your friends, your community, the strangers you've been kind to, the lives you've intersected with. You think about this sometimes, lying here on this pillow. What will remain of you after you're gone? What will people remember? What will they say about you? Have you been the person you wanted to be? Have you lived according to your values? Have you loved well? Have you been kind? Have you been honest? Have you been brave? These questions matter to you now in ways they didn't when you were young. Because now you understand that time is limited, that your opportunity to live well, to be who you want to be, is finite. This awareness motivates you. It clarifies things. It helps you distinguish between what's important and what's trivial. It makes you less willing to waste time on drama or conflict or things that don't matter. It makes you more focused on connection, on presence, on making the time you have left count. Not in some grand, performative way, but in simple, daily ways. Being kind, being present, being honest, being loving, showing up, paying attention, caring. You learned about forgiveness, how necessary it is, how hard it is, how it's not about the other person, but about freeing yourself. You've forgiven people who hurt you, not because they deserved it, not because they asked for it, but because carrying resentment was poisoning you, because holding on to anger was exhausting, because you needed to let go in order to move forward. This forgiveness was a gift you gave yourself. It was liberation. You've also learned to forgive yourself. This was harder. You've been harder on yourself than you've been on anyone else. You've held yourself to impossible standards. You've punished yourself for mistakes. You've replayed your failures endlessly. You've been cruel to yourself in ways you'd never be cruel to someone you loved. But slowly, gradually, you've learned to extend to yourself the same compassion you'd extend to others. To recognize that you were doing the best you could with what you knew at the time. To accept that perfection isn't possible and wasn't ever the goal. Your pillow has witnessed this softening toward yourself, this growing self-compassion. The way you talk to yourself has changed. You're gentler now, more understanding, more forgiving. You recognize your humanity, your fallibility, your right to make mistakes and learn from them. This self-compassion has made everything easier. It's made it easier to try new things because failure isn't devastating anymore. It's made it easier to be honest because you're not trying to maintain an illusion of perfection. It's made it easier to connect with others because you're more authentic. You learned about joy, how to find it, how to recognize it, how to let yourself feel it without immediately worrying about losing it. You learned that joy doesn't require perfect circumstances. that you can find it in the midst of difficulty, that it often comes from simple things, from small moments, from ordinary pleasures, from connection, from beauty, from laughter, from the surprise of being alive and able to experience anything at all. You've become better at joy as you've aged, better at noticing it when it appears, better at savoring it while it lasts, better at not taking it for granted. You know now that joy is precious because it's temporary, because everything is temporary. This doesn't make joy less valuable. It makes it more valuable. It makes each moment of joy a gift to be fully experienced and appreciated. Your pillow knows your joy. It's held your head after wonderful days, after celebrations and victories and moments of pure happiness, after days when everything went right, after conversations that filled you up, after experiences that reminded you why life is worth living. Your pillow has felt your body relaxed and satisfied, has witnessed your grateful thoughts, has been present for your contentment. And now, right now, lying here on this pillow, you carry all of this philosophy with you. Every lesson, every understanding, every piece of wisdom you've accumulated over a lifetime of living and learning and paying attention. This is who you are. A lifelong soul with depth and complexity and hard-won understanding. You are the sum of everything you've experienced and everything you've learned from those experiences. This philosophy lives in your bones now, in your muscle memory, in the way you respond to situations without thinking, in your instincts that have been honed by decades of experience, in gut feelings that are actually accumulated wisdom speaking. You don't question this wisdom anymore. You don't second guess what you know to be true. You've tested these understandings against reality too many times. They've proven themselves reliable. They've guided you through difficulties. They've helped you make sense of experiences that seemed senseless. They've given you a framework for living that actually works because it's based on what is rather than what you wish were true. This is the philosophy of lifelong souls. Not borrowed from books, not adopted from teachers, not inherited from tradition, earned through living, built brick by brick through experience, refined through trial and error, tested through application, proven through results. This is wisdom that can only come from having lived long enough to see patterns, to watch consequences unfold, to understand how things actually work rather than how they're supposed to work. You've learned about vulnerability, how it's not weakness but strength, how opening yourself to others, to experience, to possibility requires courage, how the most meaningful connections happen when you let people see you as you really are, when you stop performing, when you stop pretending, when you show up authentic and imperfect and honest. This was scary at first, this idea of being truly seen, but you learned that the alternative is lonelier, that hiding behind masks means no one can actually reach you, that connection requires risk. Your pillow has been present for your journey toward vulnerability, for the nights when you decided to trust someone, for the nights when that trust was honored or broken, for the nights when you removed a layer of protection and felt simultaneously terrified and free, For the nights when you were truly yourself with someone and they stayed, those nights taught you that vulnerability is the price of intimacy, that you can't have real connection without it, that it's worth the risk. You learned about boundaries, how necessary they are, how they're not walls but definitions, how saying no to some things allows you to say yes to what matters, how protecting your energy, your time, your peace is not selfish but essential, how you can be kind and still have limits, how you can love people and still decline to participate in dynamics that harm you. This took time to learn. You said yes when you meant no. You gave beyond your capacity. You let people take advantage of your kindness. But eventually, you learned. You learned that boundaries are how you honor yourself. You think about this now, lying here. All the times you should have said no and didn't. All the times you prioritized other people's comfort over your own well-being. All the times you tried to be everything to everyone and ended up depleted. Your pillow absorbed the exhaustion of those times, the resentment, the frustration, but it also absorbed the relief when you finally learned to say no, when you finally put yourself on the list of people you take care of, when you finally recognized that you can't pour from an empty cup. You learned about change, how inevitable it is, how fighting it is useless, how the only constant in life is that everything changes, people change, circumstances change, you change, the world changes, nothing stays the same no matter how much you want it to. This was hard to accept. You wanted to keep things as they were, when they were good. You wanted to stop time. You wanted to hold on to moments and people and versions of yourself. But life doesn't work that way. Life is movement. Life is transformation. Life is constant becoming. You learn to find peace in impermanence, to appreciate things precisely because they don't last, to be present with what is rather than mourning what was or worrying about what will be. This pillow beneath your head right now, this moment, this breath, this is all you actually have. The past is memory. The future is imagination. Only now is real. Only now can be experienced. This understanding has made you more present, more attentive, more appreciative of the moment you're actually in. You learned about patience, how some things can't be rushed, how growth takes time, how healing takes time, how understanding takes time, how relationships deepen over time, how wisdom accumulates over time. You wanted things to happen faster. You were impatient with yourself, with others, with life's pace. But you learned that some processes have their own timeline, that you can't force fruit to ripen faster, that trying to rush things often damages them, that patience is not passive waiting, but active trust in the process. Your pillow has witnessed your growing patience, the way you've learned to sit with discomfort without immediately trying to fix it, the way you've learned to let things unfold rather than forcing outcomes, the way you've learned to give people time and space to be who they are, the way you've learned to give yourself time and space to become who you're becoming. This patience has brought peace. It's reduced your anxiety. It's made you more accepting of life's natural rhythms. You learned about authenticity, how exhausting it is to pretend, how much energy it takes to maintain a false image, how freeing it is to just be yourself. You spent years trying to be what you thought you should be, what others expected, what seemed acceptable or impressive or worthy. You performed versions of yourself that weren't quite real. You hid parts of yourself that seemed wrong, or embarrassing, or unacceptable. But eventually you got tired. Eventually the cost of pretending exceeded the cost of being real. So you started showing up as yourself. Messy, imperfect, authentic. You stopped trying to impress people and started trying to connect with them. You stopped hiding your struggles and started being honest about them. You stopped presenting a perfect image and started being real. Some people didn't like this. Some people preferred the performed version. But the people who mattered stayed. The people who matter love you for who you actually are, not who you pretend to be. You learned about perspective, how it changes everything, how the same situation can be interpreted completely differently depending on your viewpoint, how you can choose how you see things, how you're not trapped by circumstances, but by your interpretation of circumstances. You can see obstacles as problems or opportunities. You can see endings as losses or beginnings. You can see difficulties as punishments or lessons. Your perspective determines your experience more than the actual events do. This was a powerful realization. This idea that you have agency over your interpretation, that you're not helpless, that while you can't control what happens, you can control what it means. You've practiced this. Reframing, looking for different angles, asking what else this could mean, what else this could be. This practice has made you more resilient, more flexible, more able to find meaning and possibility, even in difficult situations. Your pillow knows your changing perspectives, how you've thought about the same events differently over time, how what seemed like disaster revealed itself as opportunity, how what seemed like tragedy taught you essential lessons, how losses created space for new growth, how endings enabled new beginnings. Your pillow has witnessed your mind working through these reframes, your understanding evolving, your wisdom deepening. You learned about enough, what enough means, how to recognize when you have enough, how to be satisfied rather than always wanting more. You spent years chasing more success, more money, more recognition, more stuff, more achievements. There was always something else to acquire, to accomplish, to become. You thought satisfaction lived on the other side of more. But you learned that's not true. You learned that enough is a decision, not a destination. That satisfaction comes from appreciation, not accumulation. You have enough. Right now, lying here on this pillow, you have enough. This doesn't mean you can't want things or work toward things, but it means you're not waiting to be satisfied. You're not postponing contentment until some future condition is met. You're enough. You have enough. This moment is enough. This life, with all its imperfections, is enough. This understanding has brought profound peace. You learned about presence, how rare it is, how valuable it is, how most people, including you, spend most of their time somewhere else. In the past, in the future, in their phones, in their heads, anywhere but here. You learn that presence is a practice, that you have to choose it repeatedly, that your mind will wander and you have to bring it back again and again, gently, without judgment, back to now, back to here, back to this breath, this sensation, this moment. You've become better at presence with age, partly because you know time is limited, partly because you've learned what matters, partly because you've discovered that all the good stuff happens now. Connection happens now. Beauty happens now. Joy happens now. Love happens now. You can't experience any of it if you're somewhere else. So you practice coming back, coming here, being where you are, being with who you're with, being present to your own life. Your pillow receives your full presence at night, when everything else falls away, when there's nowhere to be but here, nothing to do but rest, no one to be but yourself. This is pure presence. This is complete being. Your body on the bed, your head on the pillow, your breath moving in and out. This is all there is. This is enough. This is everything. You learned about compassion, how it changes everything, how when you approach yourself and others with compassion, the whole world softens. You learned that everyone is struggling with something, that everyone is carrying burdens you can't see, that everyone is doing their best with what they have. That judgment doesn't help anyone. That criticism doesn't create change. That shame doesn't motivate improvement. But compassion does. Compassion creates space for growth, for healing, for change, for connection. You've become more compassionate with age, more understanding, more gentle with yourself and others. You judge less. You criticize less. You try to see the humanity in everyone, to remember that you don't know the whole story, that there are reasons for everything, even when you can't see them. This compassion has made you kinder, more patient, more willing to give people the benefit of the doubt, more able to hold space for imperfection. You learned about priorities, how to determine what actually matters, how to allocate your finite resources of time and energy and attention. You used to think everything was important, every task, every request, every opportunity. You tried to do everything, be everywhere, say yes to everyone. But you learned that when everything is a priority, nothing is. You learn to choose, to decide what matters most, to say no to good things so you can say yes to great things, to protect space for what's essential. Your priorities have shifted over the years. Things that seemed crucial when you were young seem trivial now. Things you took for granted seem precious now. Your pillow has witnessed this evolution. The way you think about your time differently. The way you're more selective about how you spend it. The way you focus on what brings meaning rather than what brings achievement. The way you prioritize presence over productivity. Connection over accomplishment. Being over doing. You learned about faith, not necessarily religious faith, though maybe that too, but faith in something. Faith that life has meaning even when you can't see it. Faith that you're held by something larger than yourself. Faith that things work out. Faith that you can handle what comes. Faith that love is real. Faith that goodness exists. Faith that your life matters. This faith isn't certainty. It's trust. Trust despite uncertainty. Trust despite not knowing. Trust despite evidence that sometimes contradicts it. This faith sustains you. It's what allows you to keep going when things are hard. What allows you to hope. What allows you to take risks. What allows you to open your heart again after it's been broken. What allows you to believe in tomorrow. You've built this faith slowly, through experiences of grace, through moments when things worked out in ways you couldn't have predicted, through kindnesses from unexpected sources, through your own resilience, through the simple fact that you're still here. Your pillow knows your faith and your doubts. It's held your head through dark nights of the soul when faith felt impossible, through times when you questioned everything, through times when meaning felt like an illusion. But it's also held you through moments of profound grace, through times when you felt connected to something transcendent, through times when faith felt as real as breath. Your pillow has witnessed the full spectrum of your spiritual journey. You learned about listening, really listening, not waiting to talk, not planning your response, not half hearing while thinking about something else, but fully listening, being present to what someone is saying, hearing not just their words, but what's beneath the words, their feelings, their needs, their truth. You learn that listening is a gift, that being truly heard is rare, that when you give someone your full attention, you're honoring their humanity. You've become a better listener with age. You interrupt less, you advise less, you fix less, you just listen more. You've learned that most people don't need solutions. They need witnesses. They need someone to hear them, to see them, to validate their experience. You can be that person. You are that person. This pillow has taught you about listening, about being still, about receiving without responding, about holding space. You learned about legacy in a different way as you've aged. You used to think legacy was about accomplishments, things you'd build or create or achieve that would last after you're gone. But you've come to understand that legacy is simpler and more profound than that. Legacy is about how you made people feel, how you treated them, what you taught them, how you loved them, the moments of kindness, the acts of generosity, the times you showed up, the ways you cared. This is the legacy that matters, not monuments or achievements or recognition, but love, connection, presence, impact on individual lives. You think about the people who've impacted you, whose kindness changed something in you, whose presence made you feel less alone, whose example taught you something essential. That's the kind of legacy you want to leave. That's the kind of impact that matters. And you're creating it every day, through every interaction, through every choice to be kind rather than right, present rather than distracted, loving rather than defended. You learned about seasons, how life has them, how they change, how each has its purpose, how winter is not better or worse than summer, just different, how spring always follows winter even when winter feels endless, how autumn's letting go makes space for winter's rest, which makes possible spring's renewal. You've lived through many seasons. You recognize the patterns now. You know that hard times don't last forever, that good times don't either, that everything is temporary and that's okay. You're in a particular season now. Maybe autumn, maybe winter. Definitely not spring anymore. This season has its own beauty, its own gifts, its own wisdom. You're not trying to be young again. You're not mourning lost seasons. You're here. Present to this season, appreciating what it offers, the depth, the understanding, the peace, the accumulated wisdom. This season of life has prepared you for this pillow-side philosophy, for these nighttime contemplations, for this deep understanding. You learned that home is not a place, but a feeling, not a house, but a sense of belonging. You've lived in many places. Some felt like home, others never did. You've learned that home is where you can be yourself, where you feel safe, where you're accepted, where you belong. Sometimes home is a person. Sometimes it's a community. Sometimes it's a physical space. Sometimes it's just yourself. You've learned to carry home with you, to create it wherever you are. This bed is home right now. This pillow, this moment. You've created sanctuary here, safety, comfort. This is your space, your refuge, your place of rest. You've made it home through ritual, through consistency, through intention, through the philosophy you've developed here, through the wisdom you've accumulated on this pillow. This is sacred space, not because it's special, but because you've made it so. You learned about gratitude in a deeper way. Not just being thankful for good things, but finding things to be grateful for, even in difficulty. Especially in difficulty. Because difficulty teaches you, shapes you, strengthens you, shows you what you're capable of, reveals what matters. You've learned to look for the gift in everything, not in a toxic positivity way that denies pain, but in an honest way that acknowledges both the pain and the growth that can come from it. You're grateful for this pillow, this bed, this body that still breathes, this mind that still thinks, this heart that still feels. You're grateful for the life you've lived. All of it. The good and the bad, the joy and the pain, the successes and the failures. All of it has taught you something. All of it has made you who you are. And who you are is enough. Who you are is worthy. Who you are is lovable. You learned about courage. How it's not the absence of fear, but action despite fear. How you've been brave in ways you never recognized. How showing up when you were scared was brave. How continuing when you wanted to quit was brave. How opening your heart again after it was broken was brave. How being vulnerable was brave. How asking for help was brave. How admitting mistakes was brave. How changing your mind was brave. You've been so brave, so much braver than you give yourself credit for. Your pillow has witnessed your courage. The nights when you decided to try again. The nights when you chose hope over despair. The nights when you resolved to face what scared you. The nights when you committed to growth despite the discomfort. Your pillow knows your bravery. It's been present for every courageous decision you've made in the dark. Every time you chose love over fear, connection over safety, growth over comfort. You learned that wisdom is knowing what you don't know. That the more you understand, the more you realize how much you don't understand. That certainty is often ignorance in disguise. That humility is not thinking less of yourself, but thinking about yourself less. You've become more humble with age, more aware of your limitations, more comfortable saying, "I don't know," more willing to learn, more open to perspectives different from your own. This humility has made you wiser, because when you're not defending your position, you can actually hear others. When you're not proving you're right, you can discover what's true. When you're not certain, you can stay curious. Your pillow knows this evolution, from certainty to uncertainty, to comfort with uncertainty, from knowing to not knowing, to wisdom. This has been your philosophical journey, and it continues. You're still learning, still growing, still becoming. You learned that the meaning of your life is not something you discover, but something you create. Through your choices, through your values, through how you spend your time, through who you love, through what you stand for, through what you won't compromise on, through your daily actions, you create meaning. You make your life significant, not through grand gestures, but through small, consistent choices to live according to what matters to you. You're creating meaning right now, lying here, reflecting, integrating, understanding. This pillow-side philosophy is meaning-making. This is how you make sense of your life, how you find coherence in chaos, how you discover patterns in randomness, how you create narrative from experience. This is sacred work, this nighttime contemplation, this honest reflection, this willingness to look at your life clearly and find meaning in it. You learned about completion, how some things need closure and others don't, how you can find peace without answers, how you can move forward without resolution, how life is full of loose ends and unfinished business and questions that never get answered, how that's okay, how you don't need everything tied up neatly, how you can hold ambiguity, how you can live with unresolved tension, how you can make peace with incompletion. Your life is full of incomplete stories, relationships that ended without closure, questions that never got answered, conflicts that never got resolved, wounds that never fully healed. Your pillow knows all of these. It's held you through your struggle to accept incompletion, through your desire for neat endings, through your eventual acceptance that life is messy and unfinished, and that's part of being human. But you've also learned about completion in another sense, about bringing things to wholeness within yourself, about integrating all the parts of who you are, about making peace with your past, about accepting your story, about becoming whole, not perfect, not finished, but integrated, complete in the sense of being fully yourself, all the contradictions, all the complexity, all of you. This is who you are tonight, a complete person, a whole person, a lifelong soul with accumulated wisdom and hard-won understanding. You're lying here on this pillow, carrying everything you've learned, everything you've become, everything you know to be true. This philosophy you've developed is not separate from you. It is you. It's how you see the world, how you understand life, how you navigate existence. And now, in this moment, you can rest. You can let go of figuring things out. You've done enough thinking for today, enough processing. enough understanding. You can let your mind settle like snow falling, gentle, soft, quiet. You can let your thoughts slow down, your body relax, your breathing deepen. You can surrender to rest, to sleep, to the restoration that comes from letting go. Your pillow holds you. It's held you through everything. It will hold you tonight. It will witness your dreams, your sleep, your rest. It will be here when you wake, constant, reliable, present. Just like this wisdom you've developed. It's not going anywhere. It's yours. It lives in you. It will be there tomorrow and all the days after. You don't have to hold on to it tightly. You can relax. You can trust. You can rest. You are enough. Right now. Exactly as you are. With all you know and all you don't know. With all you've accomplished and all you haven't. With all you've become and all you're still becoming. You are enough. Your life has meaning. Your wisdom is real. Your understanding is valuable. You matter. You've always mattered. You'll always matter. Let yourself feel this truth. Let it settle into your bones, into your breath, into your being. You matter. Your life has meant something. Your presence has made a difference. Your love has touched people. Your kindness has helped others. Your existence has value. You don't have to prove this. It's simply true. It's been true your whole life. It's true right now. Rest in this knowing. Rest in this wisdom. Rest in everything you've learned and everything you've become. You've traveled so far. You've grown so much. You've understood so deeply. This pillow beneath your head holds the weight of a lifetime, the weight of accumulated understanding, the weight of hard-won wisdom, and it holds you gently. It supports you completely. It allows you to rest. Your breathing is slowing now. Your body is releasing tension. Your mind is quieting. All the philosophy, all the wisdom, all the understanding, it's all still there. But you don't need to think about it right now. You can let it rest too. You can let everything rest. You can simply be here. Simply breathe. Simply exist in this moment of pure presence. You've learned so much about presence, about being here, about this moment, being enough. Right now, you're practicing everything you've learned. You're present. You're accepting. You're grateful. You're at peace. You're trusting. You're surrendering. You're allowing. This is wisdom in action. This is philosophy lived. This is everything you know embodied in this moment of rest. The pillow cradles your head. The blankets cover your body. The darkness surrounds you gently. Everything is exactly as it should be. You are exactly where you need to be. This moment is perfect, not because circumstances are perfect, but because you're meeting it with all your accumulated wisdom, with all your understanding, with all your acceptance, with all your peace. You've learned that peace is not the absence of challenges, but the presence of acceptance. You're at peace now, not because everything in your life is resolved, but because you've accepted what is, because you've made peace with uncertainty, because you've learned to trust. This philosophy is your gift to yourself. This understanding you've accumulated, this wisdom you've earned, this peace you've created. Nobody gave this to you. You built it. night after night, year after year, experience after experience, lesson after lesson. You built this philosophy that now allows you to rest, that now gives you peace, that now helps you make sense of everything. And it will be there tomorrow. All of this wisdom, all of this understanding, it's not going anywhere. It lives in you. It will guide you through whatever comes next. But right now, you can rest. Right now, you can let go. Right now, you can simply be. Your body knows how to sleep. Your mind knows how to quiet. Your heart knows how to rest. You've done this thousands of times. Your body remembers. It knows exactly what to do. You don't have to try. You don't have to effort. You can simply allow, simply surrender, simply trust that sleep will come when it's ready. That rest will find you. That restoration will happen naturally. You are safe here, on this pillow, in this bed, in this moment. You are held. You are supported. You are cared for by yourself, by your own wisdom, by your own understanding, by your own capacity to create sanctuary. You've made this space safe. You've made this moment peaceful. You've created this rest. This is your doing. This is your wisdom in action. All the lifelong souls who've come before you have lain on pillows like this, have developed their own philosophies, have earned their own wisdom. You're part of this lineage, part of this tradition, part of this human practice of lying down at night and trying to make sense of it all. You're not alone in this. You've never been alone in this. Every person who's lived long enough develops their own pillow-side philosophy, their own understanding, their own truth. Yours is unique, shaped by your specific experiences, your specific lessons, your specific life. But it's also universal, because we all learn similar things. We all discover that love matters, and time is precious, and people are complicated, and life is mysterious. We all learn about loss and joy and fear and courage. We all develop wisdom through living. We all become lifelong souls with accumulated understanding. You can rest now, knowing you're part of something larger, part of the human experience, part of the endless chain of people who've sought meaning and found it, who've looked for truth and discovered it, who've tried to understand and succeeded in their own way. You're one of billions, and you're completely unique. Both are true. Both matter. Let this comfort you. Let this knowledge that you're not alone settle over you like a blanket. Let the understanding that your life has a meaning warm you, like the pillow warms beneath your head. Let the wisdom that you've earned give you peace. Let everything you've learned hold you as you drift towards sleep. Your thoughts are becoming softer now, less defined, more dreamlike. This is good. This is natural. This is the transition from waking to sleeping, from thinking to dreaming, from consciousness to rest. You don't have to resist it. You don't have to hold on. You can let go. You can drift. You can float into sleep on the current of all this wisdom, all this understanding, all this peace. Everything is taken care of. Everything that needs to be done will be done tomorrow, but not now. Now is for rest. Now is for sleep. Now is for letting go. All effort, all trying. Now is for simply being, simply breathing, simply resting. You've earned this. This is yours. The pillow holds all your philosophy, all your wisdom, all your truth, and it holds you gently, completely. You can trust it. You can trust yourself. You can trust this moment. You can rest in this trust, this faith, this knowing. Your breathing is deep and slow now. Your body is heavy and relaxed. Your mind is quiet and still. Everything is settling. Everything is calming. Everything is finding its natural state of rest. This is what you've been seeking. This moment of peace, this moment of rest, this moment of complete letting go. And it's here. You're in it. You found it. All the lifelong souls rest eventually. All the accumulated wisdom finds peace. All the understanding settles. And you're doing this now. You're resting. You're settling. You're finding peace. After decades of growing, after years of understanding, you're resting. This rest is yours. The fires die down, the stories settle, and the world grows still. Let your thoughts drift away like embers on the wind. Good night. You've journeyed far through time tonight. Now it's time to journey into dreams. Close your eyes, breathe, and let sleep find you.